Yes. All right, here we go. It is good to see you all. This is our last meeting of the year, and I know we've been on quite the journey. So again, I just appreciate you all taking the time to be here and to check in with all the things going on. And I hope that we can keep this meeting moving, especially those of you who are suffering without air conditioning right now. But I appreciate you checking in, sharing your fictitious character with us, and we are going to get rolling. So, our learning targets today, we want to do some reflection. We know how important it is to learn from our experiences, but we can't learn from them unless we're truly processing the experiences. So we learn from processing. So we're going to do a little bit of that today, just reflecting on our own craftsmanship. We're also going to, I know you've been hearing a little bit about FastBridge here and there through the grapevine. Dina's going to walk us through and give y'all an overview and a couple of resources to help support, your frame of reference for where we're headed. Also, we're going to collaborate a little. We know those big reading EOGs are around the corner, and y'all have some ideas and strategies that you're using in your classroom. So we just wanted to give you some time to chat today and collaborate. And then, of course, we're going to be reviewing our ELA April updates. Y'all, I apologize for all the office chatter here today. I know that can be a little distracting. All right, so our norms, as always, we want to try to adhere to all of our norms, but today specifically, we want to hone in on posing questions and putting ideas on the table, especially posing questions with regards to FastBridge. Your questions are going to help Dina and the implementation team really think through what your needs are to ensure a successful implementation of FastBridge. And then putting some ideas on the table, again, as we collaborate and share today. So we're not going to get to do this activity, and I know y'all are so disappointed, but I did want to provide it just in case you wanted to take it back to your department or do this activity with your students. And maybe it's a way to kind of review figurative language or different poetic devices as you're preparing for the EOG, or maybe it's just a way to kind of celebrate our collective identities. However you want to frame it, this opportunity is here, and there's a great list attached from Common Lit of several poems that celebrate identity. So that's there. Next time. All right, so we're moving into building bridges. I'm not sure if y'all have had an opportunity to do an activity like this, but we're going to have you reflect on some best practices that you saw success in this year. And from there, maybe think through some ways you want to build on that established practice, and that's sort of like your bridge. You're going to think through what moving parts you need to be aware of when implementing the practice. So think through like some of the challenges or that river that you're building the bridge over. It's constantly moving, those currents. How do you navigate those challenges? And then most importantly, like what are your emerging goals for how you want to enhance or improve that practice next year? So, it's important for us to recognize our strengths. Like y'all did some amazing things this year as you had to navigate those challenges of just bringing kids back to school and teaching them how to do school. But we want to really highlight and acknowledge that y'all are experts in your craftsmanship and you continue to grow and grow each year. So there is a forced copy attached to the slide deck, but I'll drop it in the chat for you, of this slide deck. And what I'm going to do is give y'all about 8 minutes, maybe a little less. We'll do a time check, but 8 minutes to really reflect. And the questions are associated to the color block, so you can go ahead and type within your slide. I'm not going to ask you to share this with anyone other than verbally. So, don't worry about however it looks. This is just for you. Are there any questions I can answer before I give y'all some quiet time to reflect and add to your boxes? All right, so I will call y'all back in a few minutes, roughly 5 to 6 minutes, and then I'll check in. I'm going to send you in a random room, and if y'all could just take a few minutes to share your reflections, specifically kind of, your best practices that you've identified and your goals. And this can also be an opportunity for you all to kind of informally share some ideas and support each other in how you might reach those goals or how you may grow within that practice. So I'm going to send you off for about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more, and then I'll meet you guys back here in a little bit. All right. Here we go. See y'all soon. That's okay. Meg's having some issues at Durant too, just with this crazy storm. So, but if y'all Dina and I would love to hear from you if you wanted to share some best practices that you feel success in implementing this year and maybe some goals for next year.
I really feel like with this last module 4 that we're in right now, as PLT, we incorporate a lot of the Common Lit articles, which are way more up to date. No offense, than the EL ones. The kids were really into like there was like a podcast one. I don't know if y'all have seen the Common Lit unit, but the kids have really enjoyed it, and it actually gave us a lot of really good ideas to incorporate it into more EL lessons next year. And so that's kind of our goal. It's where we kind of feel like we're getting a little tired, and kids are not as interested in some of the stuff in the modules anymore, that this might help bump them back up. So that's kind of our goal. Obviously still teaching the text, task, all of that, but incorporating some of this into it as well.
And I think that's the beauty of having a strong PLT and having experience with the curriculum, right? You're able to just kind of deeply understand where you're headed, what the standards are, and how you can supplement to meet the needs of your students. And it sounds like it's a little bit of both teacher and student fatigue with the curriculum. So I'm happy to hear that you're enjoying the supplemental Common Lit articles.
Right. I do have a question about EL. Are we going to be transitioning to like the second edition, or are we going to remain in the one that we've been in? And I'm just asking because 7th grade, no offense to 7th grade, doesn't have as much as 6th and 8th in terms of novels, and kids are just kind of, and teachers, I'm not gonna lie, we're bored. And so I know the county just spent all that money on all new books for but that question came up in our department meeting yesterday, like if there was going to be a shift to maybe the second edition or whatever it's called, or if we were going to be here for ever. Not ever, you know what I mean.
You're going to be reading Liddy forever. No,
actually don't mind Liddy.
Good. That's good to hear. I actually heard another 7th grade teacher say that yesterday.
And the kids actually like Liddy. At the end, they're like, "Is there a sequel?" Because they want to know if she gets together with Luke Stevens.
Yeah. So, I guess the short answer, Austin, is like yes. That's the goal and the hope. There's just a process, and a lot of it comes down to funding. And we need to be able to fully vet the whole curriculum to make sure that we can put our stamp of approval on it.
Right.
And so it's just going to take some time, but I do know that the EL implementation team, and Dina, if you want to add, please do, wants to definitely continue to grow the curriculum, if not shift to that second edition. And they are thinking through what would that look like? Is it by grade level? Is it by module? When can we start this? When can we provide teachers with the professional learning that they need prior to starting this new curriculum? Because it's the same company, but second edition there are some upgrades and things that teachers are going to need some professional learning on, such as language dives and things like that. So that's the goal. I just don't know what the time frame is.
So, okay, but you do see us kind of staying in EL.
EL, yes,
Okay.
but
Okay.
we acknowledge that there is a need to move to second edition.
Okay. And maybe a little more flexibility as well in terms of, kind of like we said, like being able to add common lit in and maybe other short stories that go with the topic. Because I think when we're just like, there's not a whole lot of short story, that will go into, I think we teachers miss the short story aspect of being able to, quickly do those and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, mm-hmm.
No, because I can empathize with that because I recall
Right,
wanting
you
to do
got it.
more of that, and so
Right.
like I said earlier, I think with your PLT, just really being able to know what are the essentials, what do we absolutely need to do, and where do we have time to
Uh-huh.
add and supplement and enhance. Yes, that's how it should be, and that should look
Okay.
different in every classroom. But we can't just say like, yeah, y'all just
No,
100%
no.
flexibility. Um, and we wouldn't even recommend that for our new teachers who are just learning the
Oh, no.
curriculum.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, everyone. Austin and I were just talking about she has some questions about the EL curriculum and sort of the direction we're moving in as a district, and we can get into that a little bit later. But I would love to hear how your conversations and your building bridges went. If anyone wants to just kind of highlight some things that you heard, and this is really good information and data for Dina and I. We want to know where you have found success this year. So I'll take volunteers as always. Thanks, Meg.
Hey, we are my PLT. We've had a lot of success this year in creating EL1 assessments to the point where we've taken the mid-unit and the end-of-unit assessments. We have a sixth grade kind of database that we can use those ESL1 assessments because we are very heavy. We have a lot of ESL students this year. We did last year as well. And we just have a couple of versions that we can tweak depending on the students we have every year. So we've got a cool little database going where we all sit down and we collaborate, and based on the needs of the students, we take the assessment. I mean, these are kids that don't speak English. How can they demonstrate some kind of knowledge about what they're learning in a way that's best for them, that they can actually communicate. So we've been working on that, and I'm very proud of. We started the document maybe last year or the year before, and it's just kind of grown, and everybody works together nicely. So that's something I'm very proud of this year.
Thanks, Meg. Thanks for sharing. We all know how important it is to try to meet our students where they are and to really be able to assess their growth or reflect on their growth. So thank you for taking the lead on that at your school. What else might you share about some best practices or successes you've had this year?
I think in our group, a lot of our successful practices were related to student collaboration. So we were able to allow students to collaborate and lead in our classrooms in some ways that we hadn't done before. So it was something that we kind of acknowledged, especially coming off of a year of them being virtual and then being at home and at school part-time for many of us. So it was refreshing for us for them to be able to collaborate effectively and to also lead the instruction.
That is a huge lift. And we've heard, Dina and I, from different schools, they were worried about all the protocols that EO has to promote student voice and collaboration. when you were trying to be 6 feet apart or whatever. And so the fact that you found success and were able to navigate those waters is really, really impressive. So thanks for sharing that. Let's get one more. Jesse.
Hi. I talked about how my PLT and I were not satisfied all the time with some of the EL assessments and how it came to making things better for our students to get them ready as far as EOGs come. Like the language that was used was either a little too difficult in the assessments for them or honestly, maybe not quite difficult enough. So we took it upon ourselves to kind of revamp those assessments and make them more using that EOG style language to help get them more comfortable with that. And we've seen a lot of success with it moving forward, including like with their iReady assessments, they're performing a little bit better. They feel more confident. So that's been really great to see.
Thanks, Jesse. And I think that's been a challenge from the beginning, right? EL teachers are looking at these assessments and saying, they don't quite match up to that EOG, and wanting to both prepare our students for that big high stake assessment without sacrificing the integrity of the curriculum. And so there's a challenge, a balance there that we need to figure out still. And I think that some of you have had some success with that, and some of us are still kind of working through that. You know, Dina and I will say again and again, we want to, as much as possible, not modify those assessments. You can add to them or you can add additional assessments, but we do want to be able to use them as a common assessment across the county so that we are providing those equitable opportunities to all of our students. So I just have to throw that plug out there, or else I wouldn't be doing my job. All right, so I did see Lauren's hand up, and Lauren, I don't want to deprive you of the opportunity to share, so go for it.
No, I wanted to give a shout out to the department chairs, especially the 8th grade department chairs, because y'all have made this year so much better, and just so appreciative for this group and you guys in general, because it's hard to do, but we're all here. We all made it work, and even if we're late for childcare like me, we're still here. Y'all made me feel welcome, told me what to do, and thank you all, because we couldn't do it without each other.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, you fill up my bucket all the time. All right, so I am going to push us along to move into our discussion around FastBridge. So Dina's going to, I know her camera is not working, but she's going to provide you all with some information. And Dina, are you okay to take over, or?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me well, though, because I do have a little echo. Perfect. So thank you, Jennifer. I think when we first joined, Jennifer referenced FastBridge as like the elephant in the room, or there was something that you said, Jennifer, that just made me giggle over here. But I am certain that of all of you that are on this call, this is not your first time hearing of FastBridge. I'm certain that there are probably rumors out there about iReady just floating away off into space somewhere. And I am certain that you're going to walk away today with a lot of thoughts and questions. And I just want you to know that the district has done a lot of work before even communicating FastBridge to principals. So just what you hear today, I'm going to end it with 2 very small relations to your role as a classroom instructional leader. So you're going to hear a lot about FastBridge and technical language about it, but I'm going to narrow it all down for how it relates to you as an ELA classroom teacher in a middle school in Wake County. So that's the goal, and there will be opportunity for you to just have some resources to walk away with too. So just starting, some of you, again, this is not new information, and for others, this is probably the first time you're hearing it. But if you have not already started conversations with your administrators or your IFs in your building, today it's really going to give you a high-level overview of why we have this assessment, and then what it is and why it's coming. It'll also talk a little bit about the commitment that our professional learning team is building for you, what that PD plan is going to consist of, and how is it going to work for you as classroom teachers and ELA department leads specifically during the 22-23 school year. So just a little background. In 2017, we have a department that's known as Data Research and Accountability. So in 2017, that DRA department completed an impact review of iReady in Wake County. So that pretty much was a review. Is iReady working for majority of our students? Not all, but majority. And that study indicated that there was not statistically a significant impact of offering of iReady diagnostics to our middle school students who are just below the proficiency cutoff. So based on this study and informal feedback from several middle school teachers, several principals, instructional facilitators, and intervention coordinators, a decision was made to procure assessments and resources for math and ELA that will replace iReady. And this is a part of our standard treatment protocol. I'm sure that's another phrase you've heard often. Math was prioritized first. As you all know, we have Star Math and Dreambox, and iReady remained the same for the last 2 years. So starting with the 22-23 school year, iReady is going to sunset, and it's going to sunset in June. So at the end of this academic year, we're going to implement FastBridge for literacy. So FastBridge for literacy, the first thing we want you all to always know, and you all includes all stakeholders in Wake County, literacy is a right, it is not a privilege. I'm sure you've seen that logo several times. Hopefully you've heard it, but literacy is a right. It's a basic human right that opens doors for all of our students, benefits fundamental decision-making, their personal empowerment, essential for participation in their communities, our nations, and of course around our world. So currently, and I know I'm giving you guys a lot of background, but I just want to let you know why FastBridge. So currently, all of our North Carolina elementary teachers and instructional support staff are engaging in LETRS training. It's a professional learning bridging gap between the science of reading research and classroom practice. We know more today about children and how they learn to read because of their reading difficulties and how to prevent them. Sorry, y'all, my throat is no good over here. So today I'm going to give you a brief update to support your planning efforts for 22-23. For you, again, planning efforts means what does this look like for me as a classroom teacher? What does this look like for me as an an EL teacher? May 12th is going to be a principals meeting. In that principals meeting, we're going to share with your building leaders a PD plan. We're going to provide them with a full scope of our implementation timeline and what does professional learning look like. And there's going to also be some learner agency. So and also screening windows. So you're going to know more about what are those universal screening windows for the 22-23 school year. So a lot of what I'm sharing with you today, again, is just why we're choosing FastBridge, why we are sunsetting iReady, and then what's to come. And what will come will always start with your principals. All right, Jennifer, if we could move to the next slide. So what is FastBridge? FastBridge is a universal screener. It's a diagnostic, and it's a progress monitoring tool that's combined as a computer adaptive testing with curriculum-based measures. And this is for reading that are grounded in science of reading research. These assessments identify the specific literacy skills that a student is struggling with, and it also offers evidence-based recommendations, instruction on how to close those skills gaps. So if you guys are thinking iReady, the teacher toolbox was those additional instructions that you had access to fill your students' skill gaps based off of whatever your universal screener information gave you. So at the core level, you had a teacher toolbox. You're going to have that as well for FastBridge. You're going to have an opportunity to walk away today exploring what those resources look like. We're not going to really look at it today, but you will have an opportunity to walk away with some of those resources. I want you to also know that licenses for FastBridge have been secured for all students. So a lot of the questions that your IFs had last Friday was, is this just for intervention students? Is FastBridge for students who have those supplemental and intensive plans only? And the answer is no. FastBridge is for all students. We've secured a license for every student in Wake County Public Schools for 6-8 reading. So everyone's going to have an opportunity to take a universal screener assessment, and everyone will have resources available to them via their classroom teacher through FastBridge. All right, Rifkin, let's move to our next slide. So a few things are going to be familiar. Again, your role as the ELA teacher with FastBridge is just to assess the universal screener. And then you're going to also have resources available to you to use as interventions, to use as scaffolds to support their learning based off of data. The universal screening, assessment, administration, and those benchmark windows are going to look very similar to what you saw this school year with iReady. We tried our best to listen to your principals and your IFs who share that there are certain times during the school year where we're just over assessing our students. iReady's happening. Some of you are doing NC check-ins. We have access testing happening, testing with our gifted and advanced learners. So we took that into mind when building out those screening windows for this year. So you will see a difference in just the space that we provided for students missing instruction, just the space that we provided for teachers being pulled in general to have to administer these assessments. So the challenges, and I'm going to at this point just start reading off the screen to you, the challenges that we're trying to solve. We want to know which of our students are at risk for reading. We want to know how do we efficiently assess and plan targeted instruction for our students? How can we provide targeted instruction for the whole class and small groups based on those skill gaps? How do we know what our instruction and interventions are, if and when they are working for our students? And then last, which evidence-based interventions should we use for our students to target a specific skill gap? And so a lot of that's going to come via FastBridge. For year one and year one only, and I'll reiterate this again, as an ELA teacher, your sole role is to just assess the universal screener. Your IFs, your intervention coordinators, and your special ed teachers will provide the diagnostic and do some progress monitoring for all of those students who are supplemental and intensive. So we're asking you guys to focus on just assessing that screener, just as you did with iReady for most of you, hopefully. And then also use the toolkit, and we call our toolkit in FastBridge FastFlix. For iReady, it was called Teacher Toolbox. Use those resources to support the learning in those skill gaps during your core time. So we know it's going to take some time to build that up, and Jennifer and I, the middle school ELA team, will provide opportunity to train you on what does that look like in an EL classroom. Specifically, what does that look like in an EL classroom during your class time? And it's different for every middle school. We all have different schedules. So that'll come. Again, I'm just giving you the overview for now. All right, Rifkin, we're going to move to slide 31. Sorry. So we have some resources that we want to share with you all today. There is an implementation team that's been created. This implementation team have been busy looking at the groups of stakeholders who are going to who are the stakeholders for FastBridge. So specifically for you as a classroom teacher, we wanted you to walk away today with just a full overview of what has been done so far to implement this assessment system. So you're going to see an overview document. At this point, area soups, principals, IES have all seen it, got comfortable with it, and hopefully at this point are in a position where they can start answering some of the questions that you may have. And then we also built a FastBridge playlist. And on that playlist, you're going to find several resources for you to explore. The goal is just to give you some learner agency. There's reading components and resources that you would want to see prior to formal professional learning. So you're not walking away not knowing anything besides just an overview. There are some things that you can go in and just play around with and see for yourself. a few items that have been very interesting to some of our building leaders that we socialized this with so far, just the data reports. Also going in and looking at a model, as in if I'm logging into FastBridge to take a test, what does it look like? Teacher view versus student view, all those things are there for you. And Jennifer's going to put those documents in the chat for you to have access to. So we're going to continue to inform you with any future update in the middle school principal memo, in the ELA department meeting, monthly newsletter that goes out. And then as far as our IFs, because their meetings are over, we'll communicate with them via email. So a lot of communication is going to be pushed out. And for our ELA teachers, we're starting with our ELA department chairs. So you all are going to be the ones to get it first. And you all will receive the training first. So just want to let you know, we're really, really centering in on our ELA department chairs when it comes to just the business of FastBridge. One other thing that I wanted to share with you before we move to just some sharing the goals with you for the first year of implementation, we're going to build up a group, a very, very small group, because small is best, of teachers to have as consults. So I'm going to be reaching out to some of you at some point, and I'm more than likely going to ask you to consider being a consult so that we're not making decisions without thinking of you first. So we will love to be in a position, just very much like Jennifer and I have done these past 2 years with you all. We want you to be a part of the planning. We want you to share what is best for us, what is best for our colleagues, our PLT, whatever it is that you feel you need to know. You have to be a part of that to know that it actually works. So at some point, and some point is very soon, as in tomorrow, we're going to start a communication with this group specifically to create a small consult group so that we can just have conversation and dialogue and share resources with you ahead of time before finalizing anything. And just as an FYI, we also have a principal consult group. So principals have kind of had a say in a lot of this way ahead of time. As of last Friday, we started an IF group, and we're also in the process of starting one for intervention coordinators. So the goal is just to have some school voice, not just buy-in, but actually voice a part of that planning. All right, Jennifer, thank you. So as I said earlier, we have a team that has been planning a multi-year implementation. We will roll out very slow. So in the past, we found ourselves doing the universal screener. We also had progress monitoring going on. We had a lot happening at once. And I mean, ultimately, that wasn't what was best for you all as classroom teachers. I'm thinking back to Jennifer, when we were at East Millbrook, you were the teacher and I was the AP, and we were just trying to figure it out. How does it work? When are we doing it? Is it during EL? Is it in a separate class? There's just so many unanswered questions that we had back then. So the goal is to just take this very, very slow. So you all are going to be, I don't want to use the word protected, but we're respecting your time for how this assessment is going to affect your core class. So we're not going to ask you to worry about progress monitoring for this year. Your IFs and your ICs are going to be built up, and that capacity will be given to them for year one. Again, we are ensuring that we're going to consult with school-based staff to inform the planning process, and that's going to include all those small consultant groups that I shared with you just now. As you can see on the screen, we're going to have an opportunity for you all to understand the compelling why and the connections. And then there's going to be an opportunity for ELA teachers and instructional support staff to have knowledge and skills to administer that universal screening assessment, and then to engage in database problem solving to inform instruction and support. So those two bullets that are on this slide is it for ELA teachers for year one. And then our intervention coordinators, special ed teachers, and instructional facilitators will have the skills and the knowledge to administer the diagnostic, do the progress monitoring, use that data. They will check in with you for data assessment points, so those conversations will come, but also engage in the database problem solving to inform the instruction and intervention that's taking place. So yes, I can say all day that it's going to be just 1 year. And in that 1 year, you guys are only responsible for universal screening and then using the tools to make those informed instructional decisions. But even to do that, you have to be trained. And even to learn that, you have to put your hands on it and actually see it ahead of time. So the goal for ELA department teachers, department leaders, is to provide a lot of your training during your ELA department meetings. So Jennifer told you earlier, we're going to more than likely be moving back to some face-to-face learning opportunities for the 22-23 school year, and that is true. It will not be an every month face-to-face meeting, but it will for sure be some form of a hybrid. And what we want to do is, instead of pulling you out for a full day of FastBridge training, and these trainings will be prior to the assessment, so you'll have that opportunity to learn what you need to learn prior to assessing it for the first time. But instead of us pulling you out for a full day and then also having you after school for a ELA department meeting, we're going to plan differently, and your ELA department meetings will be a full day, and it will more than likely be the first chunk of your day. Half of you will be getting FastBridge training, while the others are with middle school ELA, receiving ELA updates and looking at how FastBridge fits in an EL classroom and just having those learning opportunities. So we're going to cater this training to what we feel is best for you, and we will not make any of those decisions without having that consult group right there to play a part in all of it. So that's just a little brief FYI for year one implementation goals. So what we want to do, and I know that is a lot, we want to just give you a chance to brainstorm and to think about what you need as a classroom ELA teacher, but also as a department leader, that you're going to need to support the planning and the implementation of FastBridge. So simply, what are your needs? Is it more that you need to know? Is it just time? Is it why are you getting get rid of iReady? I love it so much, or whatever it is. We want you to share those needs with us. We don't ask for this for just any reason or to make you pretend that we care about your voice. We actually are going to take what you share, and we're going to bring it back to our implementation team on May 9th, which is when that team meets again. And we're going to do some planning around the items that you share today. So again, we would like to know, what are your needs for the planning and the implementation of FastBridge? Jennifer put in the chat a Jamboard link. So if you can work your way over there, and you can, in that link, let us know your needs. And if you have questions, you can also place the questions there. And just know that these resources, these questions and just needs are going to be looked at and used. So we'll give you a few minutes for that. So just to answer a few of your questions as I'm seeing them, FastBridge is very much like iReady with the assessment. As far as the computer-based program where kids go and access a curriculum via a computer, it is the opposite of that. So a lot of the FastBridge tools that resources that students are using are coming directly from the classroom teacher. So you'll provide them with a universal screener. You'll get that data. You're going to be trained on how to use that data, specifically in FastFlix, and that's counter the teacher toolbox that you had in iReady. It will tell you exactly what lessons to pull to give students. So it's not a computer-based program, and that's going to be the something that's new for you all, and that's going to be the something where training and just teacher voice is going to play a heavy role in, because it's not a program where kids go and log onto a computer and have to be timed and they have the brain breaks. I saw a question about brain breaks too. It is the complete opposite of that. So there's going to be a lot of learning for us to do about what does the intervention look like when we are providing kids with scaffolding supports via that universal screener. Again, a lot of the progress monitoring for year one is going to be done by your ICs, your IFs, your special ed teachers. And I'm not going to get into the weeds with that right now, but I just wanted to put that little plug out there. So thank you for putting your needs. Keep putting those. This Jamboard is going to live. Again, this Jamboard will be used. And I will specifically go in and answer some of your questions in a document that will be shared with you all, since I'm not in a position to answer all of them right now today. But for those that have questions, we'll answer those for you. Also, I just want to remind you that we're going to be reaching out to you guys to just see who would like to be a part of our consult group. Just so that we can have buy-in, and not buy-in, but just a voice from you. But I know that buy-in is important too. I'm reading your questions about student buy-in. Your IFs had a question last week about teacher buy-in. So it's just a lot of thinking that we have going on right now. And again, the goal is to make this a great opportunity for learning, knowing that time is not at what's best for all of us, but we're going to try our best to make that exactly what we know you need as classroom teachers and as ELA department leads. All right, Jennifer, I'm going to turn the virtual mic back over to you, but teachers, please continue. If you're thinking of it and it comes to mind, add it to the Jamboard. It's living, and we appreciate you. Thank you all so much for just sitting and learning today.
Thank you, Dina. I appreciate these questions, and I think they're really important, especially as we design professional learning just for you and your department around all of these questions, because I asked Dina probably half of them that are on this board. So I appreciate that. And I will just say there was a question about how, when and how to communicate what we shared today with your department. I'm getting prepared to add the 2 documents that Dina shared into the May newsletter. So this isn't like the secret document that you're not allowed to take back to your department. They can see all of this and, share their questions with you, and you all can pass them on to us. So I'm going to get us back to our presentation here. Thank you, Dina. All right, so we kind of talked about this a little bit as some of y'all were sharing some things you're doing with the EL assessments, but we know that those EOGs are just around the corner, and y'all are working double time to provide core instruction and some prep for that reading EOG. So we wanted to give you, like we did last year, just some time to meet with your grade level PLT and share some of those resources that you've built, some ideas that are floating around your teams. But we also wanted to take a minute to, again, highlight this document that was initially created for one purpose, but I think serves multiple purposes. So it's linked here on the slide, and I'll drop it in the chat. But if you haven't taken a look at it yet, let me just share this tab real quick. What we did is we pulled all of the standards by strand that are assessed on that EOG. And again, initially this was created for remediation. There are several students who are going to be able to retake that EOG if they scored below a 3 and passed your ELA class. So those students are going to have an opportunity for a quick remediation opportunity and then retake the assessment, the EOG. However, you can also use this as an instructional resource to kind of focus on some of these standards. And I want to fully acknowledge I wish that I had the time to go ahead and add some specific instruction around each of these articles, but y'all are experts and I know you can do that. And so we just kind of linked some common lit stories and excerpts or texts that are related to those standards at all grade levels. So I'm going to give you all time. You can kind of explore this as a group, talk through how you might use this within your classrooms, and think through how you might be able to utilize this resource to support that targeted instruction around maybe some of those standards that you've noted, or you have data points that show that students need a little more additional support prior to that EOG. Are there any questions I can answer before we go into our grade level PLTs? I'm going to drop those links in the chat for you too. All right, so I'm going to start the timer and we'll see y'all back here about 5 o'clock. You can join your Google Meet by grade level. Those are in the chat. And Dean and I will be in the main room if you have any questions. I'll welcome you back. Hoping that y'all enjoyed that time together with your PLT. And I don't know, I loved that we got that feedback that you guys appreciate your PLT time and that we're able to provide that with you. I think that that's so important. And would love to hear a couple of your ideas that you tossed around within your PLT. I didn't choose leaders this time, so maybe just have a 6th grade volunteer start us off.
I can say a little something. We really appreciated having the iReady data. Like, I feel like it's like unfortunate it's coming at the end of the iReady lifespan, but we feel like we finally kind of know how to find the next steps and the standards that the kids tend to score lower on. So that might not be necessarily in line with the EL curriculum, but my school and I think a lot of other ones take a couple days kind of once we've wrapped up this last unit, just before the EOG to hit some of those that might be some of the lower ones, lower proficiency standards that we've seen from the iReady data. So we hope that the new FastBridge is going to provide similar information to us, since it has that universal screener was kind of a game changer. So we enjoyed having the information. I don't know that we talked a lot in our grade level about integrating it with the EL curriculum, but we at least kind of know, and we can really focus the little bit of time that we might need to take and not, waste our time that we could be teaching EL, reteaching things that the kids didn't actually need. So we like having that more in-depth and guided data.
Yes, and I know Dina put it in the chat. You will have access to some incredible reports to provide you with that data. And you kind of said it, Abby. We need multiple data points. We need those EL assessments. They're written in a different format and they're super helpful to us. And then there's other data points that help us kind of identify skills gaps. So we've got the standards-based assessments and then those that help us address those skill gaps. And that's why we're trying to create that comprehensive balanced assessment. So thank you for sharing that, Abby. And can we have a 7th grade volunteer, please?
I'll go ahead and volunteer. Oh, go ahead, Lori.
Susie, you want to share, or do you want? I appreciate you volunteering. Holly, I also appreciate you.
We didn't discuss a lot about our EOG strategies because I think, kind of mainly jumped right into what the new testing was going to be. So that was the mass of our conversation. And I know, Jennifer, you want us to be able to PLT, and that's where the PLT went. So that was the bulk of our conversation. We were pretty quiet on what the strategies were about heading into the EOG because we were preoccupied with the other conversations. So sorry, but that's the reality.
You know, that is a space that we want to give to y'all to use however you need to. And we wanted to share this resource, but in hindsight, Dina, we probably should have switched these activities. But you know, I think that's important, Susie, and your questions, your suggestions, and then Abby talking about how like you're finally getting into iReady. Like we need to be able to bridge that gap a lot quicker than we did the first time around. So like, how do we get people to buy in immediately and not 3 years after it's been, 4 years after it's been implemented? I don't even know how long ago it was rolled out.
Yeah, I'll just say, with iReady that came out quite a while ago, I know even at my school, I did several trainings. It took people a while to learn how to use it, and what it meant to them. And now I think we've really gotten people on board with accessibility and knowing how to use it. And now we're changing it up. But that's, I think anybody who's done this gig long enough knows that's Wake County. So.
Well, again, and Dina references, it's about the why, and it's with the data research and accountability study showing us that, we need to do what's best for students, and what we're using right now unfortunately doesn't quite line up. So, but we are prepared to take on all of these challenges, y'all, and answer all those questions. So thank you. And I totally, again, it's okay that y'all went in that direction, 6th and 7th grade. I get it. 8th grade, did y'all kind of have similar conversations, or again, a volunteer would be great. Thank you. Y'all know I have killer wait time.
Okay, I'll go.
Thank
We
you.
we have hands down, I think, and this is no disrespect to 6th or 7th grade, but the 8th grade PLT that gets together amazing people. And one of the things that I think we all share is the ability to be empathetic to the journey that everybody's on, because it feels so familiar. We spoke about the upcoming FastBridge, which I'm sorry, Jennifer, but it was like this giant elephant sitting. But we also communicated with putting resources into a folder and have shared along the way what we can do with that to make sure that we're all, even if we're falling, because I think sometimes we all feel like we're falling down, we have that group to catch us by giving us something resourceful. So I can't say anything other than the positivity of the group, because they are amazing people, and we're all trying to stand up and help our kids as we navigate what the next 2 years are going to look like, being in Canvas, being not with Google Suite or G Suite. The changes coming are large, and that we all had a conversation about.
And that's what I appreciate the most about this particular group of stakeholders. Y'all are solution oriented, even when a bomb has been dropped on your lap. You're like, okay, what do we need to do next? How are we going to do it? How is this going to be received by our department? And it's not an easy role to be in. And Dina and I appreciate that so much, that you guys are really just forging the way forward. I know like this is easier said than done, and maybe not something you believe, but we are going to give y'all what you need to feel good about this. And yes, year round, we see you. We're going to get to you well before school starts. And we will definitely be working with y'all along the way so that this doesn't feel as overwhelming as it does. I told Dina in the break, I saw your questions and I was, ooh, I sense that anxiety. And that is not how I wanted our last meeting of the year to go. So we're going to switch it up a little. Y'all bear with me. If I can move this along. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on our April updates. Y'all have seen them, you know what's in there. And if you have questions, of course, you always reach out and know how to find me. I did want to highlight something kind of great that happened. We reached out to your principals and they shared wonderful words of appreciation and affirmation for the work that you guys do on campus. So I wanted to show you what they said. We removed school names and your name specifically, but I think that I hope that you'll see and feel how much you really truly are appreciated. So I'm going to present this tab. So on that note, again, we appreciate you all so much. We just want to close out with any announcements, apologies, and appreciations as our last time to do that for the school year. You will continue to hear from us, of course, but thank you for engaging in the tough work we have done this year and will continue to do. And with that, y'all are free to leave us a note and head out or stay back. Dina and I will be here to answer questions, of course. Have a great evening.